how's it going? My name is Helmheim, and in this video I wanna talk about my absolute favorite gadget in Battlefield 6, the EOD Bot. I really love this gadget. I don't know why, but I've always found it incredibly fun and interesting to use. I'll also show you a few really cool tricks you can do it with the bot, although I think one of them will probably get fixed in the future. In Battlefield 3, 4 and 2042, the EOD bots were virtually identical in both appearance and functionality. With its blowtorch, it could repair allied vehicles and equipment, damage enemy vehicles and infantry, destroy enemy gadgets, and arm or disarm MCOM's explosive in rush mode. That was basically the extent of its combat role. However, in Battlefield 6, for the first time since its release back in 2011, the EOD bot has received not only visual changes, but also expanded functionality. It unlocks at level 40 and doesn't require any additional challenges. Just look at this chunky little fella. He is so cute. In Battlefield 6, the EOD bot, in addition to the standard blowtorch, now has 3 anti-vehicle mini-mines and 2 cluster munitions that can destroy enemy gadgets within their blast radius. As you can see, this compartment contains the mines, and this is where the cluster munitions are launched from. The EOD bot is now much easier to spot, as it has a light that indicates whether it belongs to a friendly or enemy team. Enemy EOD bots glow red, while friendly ones glow green. At first I thought the light only turns on while the bot was moving, but as it turns out, as long as you are controlling the bot, the light stays on even when it's stationary. The light only turns off when you exit control of the EOD bot. Like the recon drone, it's also very noisy while moving, so it's easy to hear. By the way, here is an interesting fact. During Season 1, the bot sounded like it had some kind of engine running. Which is kinda weird, because it's obviously battery powered and shouldn't make that kind of noise. But now that sound has been removed. You can clearly hear the tracks moving, as well as the mechanical sounds of the robotic arm with the blowtorch. Unfortunately, the EOD bot no longer has third-person view. We now only have first-person, which of course comes with its own limitation and makes it much harder to keep track of your surroundings. I believe this was done for balance reasons. Although personally, I think they could have simply added the light while keeping third-person view, or alternatively removed third-person but gotten rid of the light. But it is what it is. And because of that, controlling the bot now requires a lot more caution. Like the recon drone, the EOD bot has no range limit and runs on a battery that lasts exactly 2 minutes. There is also a timer next to the battery indicator, showing how long the EOD bot has been active. However, it's important to remember that if you exit control of the bot and then reconnect, the timer resets and starts counting down again, so don't rely on it in those situations. And the bot also gives no warning when the battery is running low, so don't forget to keep an eye on the battery bar. In a straight line, it can travel approximately 580 meters in those 2 minutes. From my experience, that's generally enough to reach almost anywhere you need. If you exit the EOD bot, the battery will continue draining, and after 2 minutes it will self-destruct. Unlike the recon drone, however, the bot does not explode when destroyed, so any explosives near won't detonate. Although the EOD bot has slightly more HP than the recon drone, it's actually much more vulnerable because of its size and slow movement speed. Throughout previous Battlefield games, the EOD bot was just as fragile, but it made up for it by being fast, maneuverable and difficult to hit. But in Battlefield 6, it no longer has that same speed and maneuverability, which creates some major limitations. When using it, you have to be extremely careful. Not only because there is no third-person view anymore, but especially because of the glowing light, which is very easy to spot. A thermal scope makes it even easier to spot. And don't forget about the recon drone, which can easily detect and destroy your EOD bot. The EOD bot can be destroyed with 2 shots from sniper rifles, the SVK or revolvers, while other weapons take around 4 to 5 shots. But within a sniper rifle's sweet spot range, the bot can be destroyed in a single shot. It can also be destroyed with the Recon's HTI suppression gadget. And because of the bot's low HP, splash damage from explosions is especially dangerous. This happens quite often while trying to repair a teammate's vehicle under attack. You can even destroy an EOD bot with defibrillators. I actually discovered this by accident while reviving teammates, and suddenly an enemy bot appears nearby. But unfortunately I deleted the footage. The bot doesn't regenerate health on its own, but it can be repaired by another EOD bot or by an engineer. EOD bots also cannot be locked onto with launchers. If the bot touches enemy or neutral vehicles or stationary weapons, its HP drains extremely quickly, so be careful. Thankfully, this doesn't happen with friendly vehicles anymore. Back in Season 1, friendly vehicles could accidentally destroy your bot just by driving onto it, but that's no longer an issue. Also, the bots are immune to fall damage. If you take damage while controlling the bot, you'll immediately lose control of it. You can reconnect to a deployed EOD bot just by right-clicking. Even if you already replenished your gadget, you can still take control, as long as the original bot hasn't been destroyed. It absolutely hates water, so touching it will instantly destroy the bot. The EOD bot replenishes automatically and doesn't require a supply bag, at least for now. The cooldown starts immediately and takes 30 seconds. However, with a supply bag nearby, that replenish time drops to just 8 seconds. Let's talk about controlling the EOD bot and its movement speed. Controlling the bot can be a bit confusing at first. Generally, you can drive using only the W and S keys, as the bot always moves strictly in the direction the camera is facing. You can rotate the camera 180 degrees and keep driving forward just by pressing the W key, because technically the bot doesn't have a front or back. There is also no free look feature, meaning you can't look around independently while driving. Turning the camera automatically changes the bot's direction. That's why it takes some time to get used to the controls. Of course, you can use the A and D keys to adjust your movement, but personally I almost never use them, except for those moments when the EOD bots get stuck. It's important to understand that the EOD bot is very slow and turns heavily. You won't be able to catch a running player, so don't even try. You will only attract attention because of the noise. The bot is generally incapable of catching anyone, especially vehicles, even golf carts. And because of that, the best and honestly only tactic is to sneak up behind enemy soldiers and vehicles. As you know, you should never drive directly towards enemies. Unfortunately, road kills are impossible. The bot can only push player models around. Funny enough, you can actually use the bot to lift yourself onto it and carry yourself somewhere. One thing that makes up for the bot's slowness is its ability to climb almost any obstacle, hill or rock. For the first time, the tracks actually feel useful. The bot can even climb any ladders. This is a huge improvement over the EOD bot in Battlefield 2042. Because the bot physically collides with soldier models, both friendly and enemy, it often gets stuck on bodies. Sometimes it's honestly better to just wait until they despawn. The bot frequently gets stuck on random debris or gadgets. The bot can break glass and glass doors, but it can't actually open doors. The blowtorch can also destroy thin wooden fences and chain link fences. Let's talk about the EOD bot's damage. The blowtorch fires continuously for 9 seconds before entering the 3-second cooldown. During that time, it can repair nearly half of an allied vehicle's health. This applies to armored transport, main battle tanks, anti-air vehicles and infantry fighting vehicles. As for light ground vehicles, it can fully repair them. The blowtorch deals 13 damage to infantry, and there is no headshot multiplier. As you can see, even though it shows a headshot marker, it still only deals 13 damage. Against enemy vehicles, the blowtorch deals 12 to 13 damage per tick, allowing you to deal exactly 500 damage before cooldown. Cluster munitions deal very little damage and have a 3-second cooldown between shots. In rare situations, you can finish off a wooden enemy, but using them is often not worth it, because firing immediately reveals your position on the minimap. They can deal up to 61 damage, but only if a target is close to a wall, so that all the mini explosions connect. The projectile itself passes through the enemy before exploding behind them. Killing multiple enemies is unlikely, because player models tend to block the explosions. So yeah, Technically you can get kills with them, but keep in mind the 3-second cooldown is usually more than enough time for enemies to notice and destroy your bot. The grenade intercept system can block cluster munitions before they start exploding. After detonation begins, however, only some explosions are intercepted, while the rest destroy nearby gadgets. Mini mines. You can place up to 3 mines at a time, which is also the maximum number allowed. Even after your EOD bot is destroyed or after you die, the mines remain active. However, once your new EOD bot starts placing fresh mines, the old ones will begin despawning. This is the activation range of the mines, so keep that in mind when placing them. A single mine deals 1/3 of a ground vehicle's HP, regardless of vehicle type, even against golf carts. That means a vehicle must trigger all 3 mines to be destroyed. Just like regular mines, these mines won't activate if a vehicle is moving in crouch mode. However, ATVs and dirt bikes can speed right over these mines without taking damage, because they detonate with a slight delay. As you can see, you can stack all 3 mines directly on top of each other. You can place them in a line, but if a tank only triggers 1 or 2 mines, the driver usually has enough time to stop before reaching the 3rd. So here is the placement method I used most often. You can place all 3 mines while standing in one spot. Simply rotate the camera around yourself while deploying them, and all 3 mines will end up close together. With this setup, any vehicle will explode instantly. There is also a very important detail about how these mini mines work. They are not triggered by nearby explosions from other mines, C4 or claymores. They also cannot be detonated by cluster munitions. You can manually shoot one of the mines, and even if they are close together, there will be no chain reaction. You can trigger them using the bot's blowtorch. But you shouldn't do this unless the tank already has less than 1/3 HP, because only one mine will explode and your bot will be destroyed. The next thing I tested was whether you could attach anything to the EOD bot. As you can see, you can place anti-vehicle mines, acoustic mines, claymores, laser designators or motion sensors on the bot. However, to my surprise, I discovered that you can attach a tripwire mine to the EOD bot. The mine itself won't trigger while attached to the bot, but once the bot is destroyed, the tripwire mine simply falls to the ground without detonating. But that's not all. If you are playing with a friend, they can also attach C4 charges to the bot, all 4 of them. Simply drive it as close to the tank as possible, and once you're in a position, have your friend detonate the C4. Pretty cool trick, right? And if one of the bot's mini mines explodes nearby, it will detonate the C4. By the way, there was a funny trick back in Battlefield 3. You could use C4 to launch a friendly bot behind enemy lines. Sadly, that doesn't work in Battlefield 6. Buddy, you're too fat. It's time for a diet. So overall, the tactic is always the same. Place mines behind the tank and then start damaging it with the blowtorch. In most cases, the tank driver panics and reverses. Since the bot is very slow, it usually can't escape in time, so the tank destroys it, but at the same time, the tank drives into the mini mines and explodes. Now let's talk about detecting enemy gadgets. Just like the recon drone, the EOD bot can detect enemy gadgets and explosives from up to 50 meters away. They're highlighted in red and can be destroyed with a blowtorch. Of course, the recon drone has the advantage of destroying gadgets from up to 40 meters away, and even through walls, while the EOD bot needs to get within roughly 2 meters. And it also destroys enemy explosives without triggering them. This means you can safely clear mines on the roads or claymores inside buildings without drawing any attention. I believe Conquest and Escalation are the best modes for fully utilizing the EOD bot, as they provide plenty of room to maneuver. It becomes more difficult in Breakthrough and even harder in Rush. Let's quickly talk about Rush mode. As I mentioned before, one of the EOD bot's classic abilities is arming and disarming MCOM stations. Unfortunately, in Battlefield 6 the bot is almost useless in this mode. The main issue is that the maps are now extremely compact. The bot itself is loud, bulky and brightly lit. Standing almost waist height, it's incredibly easy to spot. Because of the tight map design, it's often nearly impossible for the EOD bot to even reach an MCOM station while attacking. Even when the MCOM is shrouded in smoke, Defenders will spray through and spam grenades, meaning your bot will be destroyed instantly. Defusing an armed MCOM as a defender is even harder. I've only successfully done it once. Most rush maps are simply too small, leaving very little room to maneuver. Of course, feel free to try it yourself. Maybe you'll have better luck than I did. And now for the most important trick. Honestly, I'd call this a forbidden trick because of how dirty it is. The EOD bot can stay inside the red zone indefinitely until either its battery runs out or it gets destroyed. What? You might ask. Here is how it works. When you enter a red zone, you normally get 9 seconds to live. But when the timer reaches around 2 seconds, simply exit control of the bot and reconnect. The timer resets back to 9 seconds. Guess what you can do now? That's right. Not only you can slip behind enemy lines through the red zone, but you can also place mines on the vehicle spawns and take out mortarmans. It's the perfect way to deal with tanks and anti-air vehicles that are camping in their own base. And let me tell you right now, it won't be easy, but it is possible. This becomes especially effective if you team up with a recon who attaches his C4 to your EOD bot and detonates it at the right moment. To summarize, playing as the EOD bot is basically like being a predator. You have to stalk your prey and wait for the perfect moment to strike. And don't forget, direct attacks almost never works because the bot is loud, fragile and easy to spot. You need patience, creativity and map knowledge. Well, I think that covers everything I know about my favorite gadget in the game. If I missed anything or you have any questions, let me know in the comments.